Hi, this is Jeremy from STL CodeScape, and I just wanted to do a quick tutorial-ish video on how I set up my theme and how it's flexible and easy to use for anybody working on it. So let's just jump right in. Okay, first of all, my theme is pretty much a blank theme. It's when you first install it, you would think that you didn't install anything. When you first install and activate it, it just is a blank screen when you go to your when you go to a page. So the theme is called Super Light, just because it's a very lightweight theme. There's there's nothing heavy in it, nothing that is not needed. It's like a race car. It's only has stuff in it that's needed. So you just activate the theme like any other theme, and okay, so we'll just jump into what it looks like. All right, this is a site that I just recently built with this theme. But this doesn't tell you much about the theme itself, so we'll just start some test pages. Okay, this is how the theme works. Let's put test page. All right, we hit the publish. You go to a page, and as you can see, you're like, whoa, what's going on there? Like, what do you call it? It's just got a header, and it's got the footer, and this stock market thing that's going across the screen. Okay, but that's actually good. This is exactly what I want when, as far as the behavior is concerned, when I first set up a theme. Normally it's blank. So what I first do when I'm setting up a theme is I go to a mockup, and like in this case, they sent me a Photoshop file, and I'm like, okay, so we have this, and it's just square. You got your logo, got your menu, some social icons, and then this up here, and of course this stock market widget. All right, so what I do is I install this plugin, the greatest plugin that ever lived, Advanced Custom Fields Pro. Okay, I installed this plugin, and I just set up fields that are needed. Like, for instance, I'll set up a field for the logo, and I'll set up a field for these 3 buttons and some social buttons. And of course, the menu will work just like a normal WordPress menu. So I go back, and after setting them up in this, this plugin, the global header options. See, you got breaking news head bar, the logo, the mobile logo, because the logo changes when it gets, down to phone. Eyebrow, that's the buttons on top, these things right here. And social icons, it's a repeater. In other words, it repeats social icon, search icon, and favicon. Favicon is what appears up in here, all that. And so, as you can see, it's very tailored to what this specific thing is. Now, when I set those parameters, as you can see, I set it in an options panel. So you go over here, theme options, real easy. Go to header. Just straightforward. So you got this, breaking news header bar. You got the logo, mobile logo. This is a repeater for these buttons. I could add more if I wanted. Just set them, set the text, set the link. You know what I mean? And then you got the social icons, again, just like the others. I can set it, and I can make more icons if I want. And this is what the image looks like when it's off, and this is what it looks like when it's on. Well, it's like rolled over. So basically, what this plugin allows me to do in my blank theme, it basically allows me to create almost like a visual editor that you can define. You know how when you get on the visual editor, you can click rows, and you can click different stuff, but you're sort of confined to how it's already been defined by the visual editor. Well, with this custom fields thing, you can define how you want it set up entirely. It's entirely up to you. So I normally set up the header according to the mockup. So if you only have a menu and a button and a logo, then this thing won't even look like this deep. It'll just be a logo, button. Same goes for the footer. This is very straightforward. They had 3 spots. copyright spot and a logo at the at the very top of the footer. So you go down to footer, you have a logo, the 3 columns, and copyright. So it's very straightforward. You have 3 columns. They're all what you get editors. Got some space here, and so it's just very straightforward. Now let's look at it in the back end. Okay, first we'll go to our files. It's just a normal theme, super light. I click on it. The advantage of the theme that I use is it's so shallow. Like if you're a developer and you're looking at, you go into my theme. You know how some themes you'll open them up and they've buried their functions in 7 million different folders. You're playing Matlock trying to find where something's at. In my theme, it's very straightforward. You got the header. Everything is in the header, and these little calls, these little get subfield link, that's all coming from this plugin. So if you see something like this, it says eyebrows options. It's coming from the header eyebrows option, eyebrows options. So and there's the HTML. So you couldn't for a developer working on this couldn't be any more straightforward. You got all your divisions. Here's sometimes I'll make a special like the social icon. I made a short code because we also use it in the footer. So I wanted to use it in 2 places. Just made a short code. All developers know that. Do short code. Boom, right there. Easy to understand. You got the breaking news bar right here. Easy to understand. Very shallow stuff. So I go to your regular folder. If I'm working on the front page, there's a front page PHP. Every other page is just a page, just like normal. Like everything, you don't have to dig in down 10 different files to look for some function that's spitting out one little piece of the page. Everything on the page is on this thing, unless it's in the footer, of course. And then you got footer. So you're really dealing with 3 templates. You're dealing with the header, the basic page, which is either the front page, the page, or the single, of course, or the footer. And your footer couldn't be, more shallow. So if you're a developer looking at, trying to tweak something that I did, it couldn't be easier to do. And my styles are all in a style sheet, single style sheet. When I need like a media query, I'll use media queries. So it's either coming from one of those 2 areas. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's get into I guess how a page is built, because we just went over header and footer, and you're still probably thinking, why does this page look like it's all up in each other, not looking very good? Well, the way I set up a theme, again, we're going to custom fields, and this is the most important part of the way I set up a theme. This is the part that when you understand what I'm doing here, you'll realize, oh man, this is awesome. This is so easy and so flexible. So there's a section here called flexible content. It says 1 field, right? That's so deceptive because it's really 9 million fields. So I hit this button. And this is where you basically define your visual editor. I have each one of these layouts is a module. So I have a visual editors module. I have a heading and text module. I have a rollover image series module. Picture title text series, slider, that's the one that winds up on every site. Header image, that winds up on every site. Full video will pop up. Not all of these modules are used on every site. A lot of times I'll bring over a bunch of modules that we might use, because basically what I do is define them according to the site. This is like the skeletons of each module. So full width video images, post slider, this is to pull, posts from particular areas, post feed. So we got and I can make any number of these. I can make any number of layouts. And so you're like, okay, you can make all those layouts. So what? So well, how does that work? Okay, so we go over to a test page, all right? Go to a test page. Here's another thing about the theme and the way I do it that I believe is better than a lot of other ones that you see. when you are on a page and you hit the edit button, in a lot of themes, you go back here and there's nothing on the page, and then you got to like dig in the sides. You're looking at widgets. You're looking for the slider like function over here. Like you got to go digging for all these pieces of the page that you hit the edit page, and you want to edit something on this page. And now you're in the back end and you're looking for stuff that's all hidden all over here. Like you got to play Matlock again, trying to figure out where that's coming from. Well, in my theme, I try as much as I can not to do that. Like not to everything on that page should be editable when you hit the edit button and you land on the page. So, okay, let's say that we're starting a page. Now this is where the modules come in. See this great button right here in modules? You click this, and these are all of the modules that are set up like that we just saw in the back end. So let's say that I want, like most interior pages start with a header image. So I click that header image, and then all these things appear, and you're like, whoa, what's that? All right, your basic image top. So I click on this, and I go find an image that I like for my header. Let's see, will this one work? Yeah, that'll work. All right. Well, just a second. It's got text on it. This one will work. Look how big that is. Select. All right. We got this guy. He's the header image now. And let's say that we wanted some title text. Fishing. And again, all of these are editable. Like they're just here because they're normally used. But if you needed one added, you're like, oh, I want some field over here that does something. You just tell me and I just do it. Like it's so easy to add fields that do different stuff. And so like here, this right here, this is if you want like a different image for mobile. Like a lot of times you got a long image, it's a landscape image on the desktop, and then when you go to mobile, it doesn't look good. So you got this extra field right here that like will use a mobile image when they scroll down to mobile. All right, so I hit update. You're probably thinking, just show me the page. Damn. All right. So we go look at this page. Boom. Okay. That picture is huge. Probably should use a different picture. That's, what do you call it? Okay. Let's try a different picture. You see what happened here. Let's try a different picture. Just because, dang, that's huge. This one is like in every other interior page. All right. This is not as big. All right. Okay. All right. So we got a header image, and you're like, oh, no, it doesn't look like it's crazy. All right. And the reason I do that is because, like, not every page, like, this allows you flexibility. Like, let's say that I add another page. Test 3, whatever. Then I didn't want an image at the top. I wanted just heading and text. Let's get some lorem going on here. Lorem. See? Now, well, I got to add some padding to the top of it. That's how flexible this is. Like, and this is how quick this can be done. That's probably not enough, but let's try. All right. Okay. So you want to just heading and text. In this particular template, you can't really have a white background because they got a white header. But this basically gives you an idea of this is meant to allow you flexibility on if you want a header. Sometimes you want a header and sometimes you don't. Okay, let's go back to the page. Sitting here falling all over myself. Okay, so we're back on this test page. Now let's say, okay, so you got a header. Now what? Okay, let's go heading and text. This is like one of the most used modules, heading and text. So we got test page. This is normally tag 1. You can adjust the tags right here. and just the heading color of the text if you wanted to. I don't think this theme really messes with that much, but you can adjust it if you want. Again, a lot of this is just set up as, you know, possibilities and tailored particularly for a particular site. So let's say that I do this over here. Now we got, you know, the header and text. And so like this is your, you know, general basic page. But let's say we want to add something else. We want to add, I don't know, let's add, we could add another header image just to show you like the flexibility. Let's say we want to add a header image. Bam, we got another full width image right there. Just in case you wanted to make a page like that. Now, we go down and we add a, you could add a slider if you wanted. It just stack up like blocks. I mean, you're kind of getting the point here. But here's one module that gets used a lot, and I mean a lot. Picture title text module. So it's just because it's so common for people to have picture, title, and text all together. Like for instance, if I'm looking at this, and there's, you know, on nearly every website, you'll have this section there like this that they're lined up, and they got title, they got picture, text, in a button. Okay, that's so common. So the picture, title, text box does just that. It just makes, you know, makes these. All right. Oop. I set up background. Okay, I add a box. You with the fish. All right, got her. Title, lorem. Here's a link. Button link. You put whatever you want in here and then the target. Then you add another one. So add this. You. Something here. You. Something with the text. All right, let's update this. Hit refresh. I go down here. Okay, these are huge, and it's because I didn't set a setting. All right, we need column numbers 2. That means I'm setting 2 of them up together. There we go. Then they set up as 2. See that? Oh, it looks real nice. Okay. Let's say that I wanted 3. I was like, you know, so I just hit the button again. Bang. You button text update. Got to set the 3. Set the column number to 3 all together. Now, so we got this. Now, you know, so this is basically what we have. 3 set, and then like let's say you thought, oh man, you put the image before these 3 boxes. What's up? So you just want to drag these around, hit update. Now your boxes show up before the image. It's just that straightforward, and it just like everything here is like it's just like a row of stuff. I mean, I have post feed. I can create a post feed. FAQs. People love those. It's when you have a like that's the title of the section, or in this case it's a title, question, and the answer. And I'll show you what an FAQ module on this website does. But like on every website, everything acts a little bit different. So it's styled a little different on every website. And so let me try to remember where we put those testimonials. Maybe no. Advocacy. Where we put those FAQs? Here we are. This was an FAQ-ish acting module in this one. So you had a title, you had basically the intro, the question, and then you click to learn more, and it shows you, learn more. Other websites have these exact same modules, and they just act a little different, because even though in the back end they basically act the same. Let me try Alpine. Is this right? I can't remember where this is at. Inkwell. Frequently asked questions. Bet it's there. Okay. Yeah, see, like on other sites, you just have like the question and then the answer, and it just slides down like you would expect. And I'm sure that the Visual Composer has these too. The advantage that we have over the some parts of the Visual Composer are you can control the HTML. Basically, the Visual Composer, I think you can style stuff. But it's a little bit more difficult to control the HTML. So you as the developer are probably thinking, well, yeah, what does this look like? What do these modules look like in the back end? How crazy does that get? Okay. So let's go in the back end. You got all of these modules you can just flip around and do whatever you want with. So in the back end, I go to my files, just my regular folder, like my Superlight folder, and let's go to the front page and see what it looks like. Bam. All right. Got your header. You know what that is. Global options. It just sets some global options. Basic. It's set up very basically. You got a content block. A few wrappers just in case you want to do stuff with it. Some of these can be eliminated if you want. Like they're just there for just in case you need them. But here's the big deal. Okay. The Advanced Custom Fields plugin has this rows functionality. This is actually calling the modules. Like in the back end, if you were to go to the back end, the custom fields, go to flexible content, and it has these modules. That's what it's calling. It's saying, hey, is there any modules going on in this thing? And as you can see, there's quite a few. Right? So it just runs a loop, a modules loop right here. So you got modules, and then this is all the different modules. So I set them all up differently so you can add them, you can subtract them in a very straightforward manner. So you're just like, these are all the different modules that we can use, and you're like, well, where are they at? You got these includes. Okay, go to they're just in here, very shallow in the layouts. So if I go back to the layouts right here, and I'm looking for like the heading and text module. So I go to the heading and text module, and it's got if row layout equals heading and text, then these are all like my what do you call it? Like my fields, my variables. Like let's say that I have a bunch of variables and the color and the tag number and all that. And you come down here, and this is where it spits out. Now, as a developer, you can look right here and go, oh man, this is all right here. I can wrap anything in a span tag. I can get rid of the H1s and set it to whatever I want. I can add divisions down here. This is easy. So easy, because it's just right here. Anytime a heading and text module spits out, this is where it spits out. Okay, so I go over here. This is, you got full width video, you got slider, post type slider. So you go in here and you can look at, and this is where all the HTML of this is, and you got a little bit of the slider JavaScript right here. Now you might be like, hey, why do you put it in the module and not in like a JavaScript file? I did that because these are modules. Sometimes I subtract them. Sometimes I'll delete them out of a theme, and sometimes I'll add them to a theme. And when I keep them in modularly like this, it makes that process easier for me. At the end of a project, I might take some of these styles, these static styles, and stick them in the style sheet, just so they're not in some weird spot and you're like, where is that at? But generally speaking, this is it. Like, it's very shallow. Ignore this shared layout thing. I'm get rid of that. But you got like the FAQ. You go open that up. You're just like, this is all the FAQ stuff. Here's each FAQ that spits out. Easy to understand for developers. So easy to understand. And like, let's say you're in the back end and you're like, man, I need a different like field for an FAQ. I need something. The client wants to be able to adjust the background image of the FAQ. And you're like, oh, okay, all right. Let me go down to FAQ. Where are you at? FAQ, there you are, FAQ. So I hit edit. You'll see the repeater right here. And say the client of each FAQ, they wanted to add a background image. So you're like, fine, all right. You click this button, it's a field. You say, background, whatever. Then set this to image. Set it to URL to spit out and full size. I always like full size, you know, just because I like to see what I'm dealing with. And that's it. And then you hit like, you know, now you have a new parameter inside of your FAQ. And so all I got to do is like copy this field name right here after I hit save. I'm not going to hit save right now because this is a test thing. But I go back to my, you know, my files, and this is the FAQ block, and I just add that parameter right here. You know, background. I add that parameter, and I can just echo it out inside one of these divisions, like the background image. And then, you know, so that's how flexible it is. It's amazingly flexible, this whole system. And it's shallow and flexible. Gotta love shallow and flexible. Okay, so these are the modules, and like these modules can be anything you can think of. Like if you just need a module that does two things, I can make a new layout and new module. Then when you go to a page and you want to add it, it can be anything. Like, okay, so check it out. We got a double column here. They wanted like a 2-column set. Each set had a title and text, right? So, and they wanted it looking like a, you know, a particular thing. They have, so I made it, this is a good example because this is not a module I normally use. This is a good example because it's got a background image, and they wanted to be able to adjust the padding. So I can make the background color whatever I want, you know. Then I hit update. Go back to my test page. Refresh. And see, you got these, you know, double column. And I can just add stuff to these. And for this particular case, you can see how they used it in their you know, they used this. So we had this module. All of these is a double column module thing. They loved it. They were like, yeah, this is fantastic. And I built out a custom shortcode for them to do this. You know, you can comment on how the fishing was today in Alaska, and then people will know how the fishing is on that particular day. Like even this thing right here. This is like a sub menu. Even this thing. I go back to edit page. I made that custom. So I go here, I hit sub menu. Boom. Right there. It has nothing. It basically just tells like what menu you're pulling from in the side here. So I go up here, I drop it right below the header image, hit update. Go up here. Now it's right there. Look at that. So flexible. I could drag it down here, right underneath the heading and text. You can put it wherever you want. Now it's right there. That's how flexible this is. Okay. Now that we've discussed the flexibility, like you know, and this is even like with the slider. You got just your regular slider. It's got every field you can think of. And if you wanted different fields, I can make different fields. It's, you know, I can set different effects. You add slides like this. You add slide, add slide, add slide. It's got spots for like image and then mobile image and then background. Just because everybody wants different stuff, like all the time. Like, there's never like a set, like most websites are very similar, but there's always different stuff that they want. Like in this particular site, you got the front end, you got the image. Like, let's go to the front, like go to the back and see what this looks like. Okay, this is the home page. You got the slider. So you go in the slider, they put this as the image. This is the title. This is the button text and the link. You can control all that. And this is the third image. This is the second image, third image. And that's how this slider is. And again, you just hit the edit page and you got into the back end, and like everything on this page, except for in the header and the footer, everything on this page is right here. It's not in the widgets. It's not over somewhere. You got to dig it out. Your slider isn't over here somewhere. It's all there. And like if the client's using this, it's not even like, I mean, it's so straightforward. You're just like, the client's like, I got to change where this text is. Where is this text? I want to change last frontier. And they go back here and they're looking for stuff. And they're like, well, it's at the bottom of the page. Where we go? Oh, there it is. Last frontier, heading and text. So everything is right here for you to edit. Okay. Now, you might not want to give up like the idea of the visual editor, which is fine. So what I would do in that case, like let's say you were like, oh, this is cool, but sometimes we want to have a page and we want to have the visual editor installed on that page, and so we can just mess with it in a way that we're normally used to. Okay. So what I would do is I would just create a different template called like traditional or something, or I would even make it to where this particular module thing was in a template. That way, to pick the modules that I create, you can just pick a template called, flexible template or something, but if you wanted a traditional page, what do you call? I can do that. Like for instance, general posts or more traditional. You go to this, you got your traditional visual editor right here, and if you got the if you got the Visual Composer installed, it will activate right here, and it will go to a template that does not look like the one I just showed you. A second, sorry, too many things open. All right, let's go to a single. Okay, the template of a single or the template of a more traditional loop, like if you're a developer, you know what I'm talking about. It just looks like this, and it's just a template like this. So you'll have your normal header, you'll have your normal footer, and you'll have your traditional loop right here. And this will spit out anything that the Visual Composer would do. So you would have, like, if you were on a page like this, you have the header, the normal header, and you would have the normal footer. And then everything inside would be blank, and you can just populate it with your visual editor in the same way that you would any other site. And I think there was a question about whether or not these were responsive, and yeah, like everything's built with responsive in mind. For the most part, responsive websites became the norm, I would say 5 years ago. So, and again, with the kind of theme that I build, even with its mobile, the way it lays out mobilely, I have a lot of flexibility to change things. Like, I'll make the whole section look different. I'll make sections. I can make modules that only show up on mobile. You know what I mean? You can make a module in the back end that just shows up on mobile. Like, okay, you got this page again. Again, it looks just like the other website where you got picture, title, text, boxes, heading text. Probate count, that was like a custom thing that we built in. You got the sliders. It's got different slides for different, And in this one, he's got mobile images set. So see how this one sits to the left. But when it goes mobile, you don't want it to sit to the left. You want the image itself to show up in the middle. So in this, when you start going mobile, the images sit more, you know, directly in the middle because they're completely different images. Completely different images. So if that is a concern, and all these are modules, all of them. Go different spots. This module acts in a different way. It's a jumper module. But anyway, that's the general overview of how I set up a WordPress theme. Again, the key points are that it's very shallow. For a developer, you know, everything's in the style or the media query style. Possibly in the layouts, the different, you know, modules of the layouts, but you know, it's not like anything you can't find very quickly. Other than that, like generally speaking, you're only using the front page, the regular page for regular pages, the single for blog posts and such. And like in different circumstances, like in this one, they wanted like a different layout for the category news. So you have that in here. But if you're going for changing something in the footer, it's in the footer. You're changing something in the header, it's in the header. Real straightforward, really easy to understand, especially for, I mean, this is 101 for most developers because they're just like, oh yeah, I know exactly where that's at. It's very shallow, no looking, nothing really fancy. But it's very effective and very easy for a client to understand. When they're back here editing, you know, they understand like everything that's going on because when you hit the page and you got everything in front of you. Now, of course, menus work the same as in this particular site. They had two different menus. That's why it looks different on the front page than it does on the interior pages. They had two different menus, one for the front page and one for the interior pages. So, you know, whatever. But menus work the same. If you need a section that uses widgets, like I can just install a widget and then stick widgets in whatever area you want. You know what I mean? I just stick them wherever you want. Other than that, that's the main points of how this theme is set up. Basically, it's very custom, so and straightforward. So if you need anything, you basically just say, hey, we need this here, and I can do that for you. Or you say like, hey, we want to use the Visual Composer here. The reason I'm what do you call it? I mean, I can use other themes. Like I can use the Jupyter theme. I can. I just have to, sometimes dig stuff out, and then I have to go looking for specific stuff. Again, like a lot of professional themes, because they are trying to please everyone. So they're trying to like be the whole toolkit. So a lot of times when you're going to, they have like 10 different footers and they have 10 different headers, because they're trying to like make it to where you can choose this header or choose that header. They don't know. It's like they don't know what kind of website you're setting up, so they try to be everything. So a lot of times when I use somebody else's theme, I wind up wrestling with the theme's initial setup itself. I'll wrestle with the padding that they have on particular divisions. I'll wrestle with like how their headers work. You'll open their header file. It'll be 5 different functions to 6 different types of headers. You know what I mean? It's not like as soon as you get into the header, that's what's there. You know what I mean? So I can use a Jupyter theme. It's just a little bit more work on my end, and a little more of a wrestling match with their like setups, pre-set up styles and pre-set up divisions. But I can do it. Like if you're like, hey, we like our Jupyter theme and we like the different options. And please, if you have an option that you like, just let me know what that is so I can make sure not to mess with that option. But I can do that. Anyway, I hope you found this tutorial or this overview helpful, informative on how like I would set up something. And again, I can set it up traditionally. Like that's not a problem. But if you have any questions, just email, call, and look forward to talking to you. Okay. See ya.